Um, so this is May 20, 28th. Yes, May 28th, Milton Parks Commissioners meeting. I believe you're the only thing really on the agenda today. Um, so we're gonna turn it over to you to start, and then Carolyn should be joining us soon.
Thanks, Rob. First off, I think we owe the Parks Commission an apology on missing the last meeting. So, both of our faults. It was communicated to us well, and we just totally dropped the ball. So, hopefully, we didn't mess up anybody's day, and appreciate everybody giving us an opportunity to meet again here. Um,
Or
what we did want to cover today is kind of status of where we are at. Last time we did talk with the Parks Commission. We reviewed a couple of site plans, and the Park Commission gave us feedback on those site plans. So we want to review the updates to those and make sure we've kind of captured everything the Parks Commission wanted to talk or wanted to change there. That will allow us to take those and kind of beautify them a little bit and finalize them to be incorporated into the report. We also have some preliminary numbers, and I've kind of we have actual OPCs that go with these, but rather than getting into the details of the OPCs, and we use OPC as a cost estimate, OPC's opinion of probable cost, just kind of a language term that Tie and Bond uses. But we have some OPCs to go with them. I've kind of rounded them off and provided some bulletized lists of costs associated with different amenities on site. And I wanted to talk through that and get the Parks Commission idea on like how they may want to break projects out or if phasing is even appropriate, depending on the particular project. And then we'll give you a status update of where we are on the report, and we'll go from there. Does that sound like a decent list of things to cover?
yeah,
Okay. Uh, it says, Bonnie, it says sharing is not turned on. I'm going to ask for a request, and
Oh, here
hopefully
we
that
are.
pops up on your end.
Yeah, we were a little late getting things going here.
That's all right. Think you guys are looking at a PDF of not Andrew's, Flatley Field.
yeah.
Okay, so Flatley Field, the comments we think we received the last time was we liked the parking. We wanted to
How the participants, will that make that bigger? Yeah, hold on 1 second.
take
Just
the time.
I mean, I can see it, but still. Yeah. Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe you can maximize the, go over to that, yeah, maximize that. Not that much. A
Better?
little better. Tiny better. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Good
Okay, go
guys, do you
ahead.
want me to zoom in better? Is that
Yeah, that's okay, yeah.
so? Things we were asked to focus on here were obviously we wanted to keep the synthetic turf field with the lights. We were going to reduce one of the natural turf fields, and in doing so, that allowed us the space to add a playground. This is a pretty robust playground facility that we're showing here. This is two different age groups. So you have like a 2 to 5 and a 5 to 12 playground here, swing sets, climbing apparatuses. I know it's hard to see in those little blobs, but there's quite a bit worked into this playground facility. We have two natural turf fields on the outside that are both youth size fields that could be used for soccer or any other athletic facility, that can fit in those spaces. We're showing those spaces as rectangular fields, but likely when they got rebuilt, they'd be rebuilt to kind of the extents of the grassed areas there. And then we have a multi-purpose rectangular synthetic turf field, and the size of this synthetic turf field is the size that would be appropriate for almost all sports. The only thing that's not playing here at full length is football, and that's because it has a 330 or yeah, sorry, a 330 dimension to it, and so football would want to play at 360. Our understanding is football already has other places to play, specifically with the other field hopefully coming online at the high school, and so if football was to play out here, it would be like a youth football or something like that, and they wouldn't need a full size field. Um, as far as the amenities added here and the changes, does the board have any questions about what we've done here or any other like additional comments, things they'd like to see at Flatley Field.
So what's the 135 and 210? What's the is it like a 99 or a
That should be a
77?
9v9 field, yeah.
Okay.
We'll add
Ryan,
that.
what is the gazebo? Goes on there?
We added that because a lot of communities, and including in your survey, people want shades or structures, places to hang out. Another thing we heard is places to have like a birthday party or something like that. So you have this big facility that you could hang out, but you may have younger residents that want to go get some shade while their brother goes and plays on the field. It's also a good place for like if coaches want to have a place to have the team gather and have a conversation. So we try to provide some type of amenity when we rebuild a park where there's a shade structure. It covers, a team meeting or whatever might go there. It's totally an optional item, but just trying to cover what else we hear when we talk about rebuilding parks, communities wanting.
How much parking have you added to this?
That is a total of
Spaces?
58 spaces. So you have 60 over here plus 58 here, which should be more than enough parking for this facility.
Is there like guidelines? I mean, I know parking's an issue, right, with the current parking lot. But I'm just curious, like, what you go by, like, is this like the right size parking for this facility? And if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, we typically say 20 to 30 parking spaces per amenity. So like each field, say there's 10 kids on each side of the team. Uh, so there's 20 kids playing on a field. You've got all the parents that want to come out there. So, sometimes parents will come together, sometimes they won't. Some parents can't attend. So we typically say 20 to 30 per field or amenity. So here, if you have, I'd count this as each field as an amenity of 3 amenities, plus 4 for the playground. So now you have 120 would be required, and if you have 60 plus 58, you're kind of right in that sweet spot. Does that make sense?
And then I guess my last question would be, do you know what soccer uses today on Flatley compared to this new plan?
You mean field wise?
Field wise, yeah.
Yeah,
Like it
so
almost seems like, is this a reduction in what they currently have?
it it is if you look at surface level and it's field space. Um, the truth is they've lost no space, right?
Yeah,
The space is all being utilized. Um, what they've gained is availability. And so you can look at this field space as if it's one field space here, right, for this multi-purpose rectangular field, but it really can be 2 or 3 spaces depending on what youth league is playing there. They can play this way,
that's a
crossways on
good
it.
one.
And
Yeah, so
so
you could play two, is it basically that could be divided up into 2 fields?
you could
Or
divide
3, I
that
guess.
correct. And so I don't think they've lost any space, but what they've gained is the ability to play the day after the rain. They've gained the ability to play at night. They've gained the ability to play any which direction they want to. And they've gained a facility that will play much better than it does play today. It's kind of, I don't want to say that it's, there's characteristics to that field that certainly would make it play at a higher level than what it currently is at. So they've gained the ability to kind of play the heck out of a space. Let's just say and to go over numbers that you've kind of, I think I've covered you in the past, Rob, but let's say it was a natural turf field just being switched to a rectangular field and we weren't worrying about youth sports. It was at a high school. Well, we would say
Yeah,
a synthetic turf field replaces 3 natural turf fields because I can play it at night, I can play it in the rain, I can play it, first thing in the spring, and I can use it up as much as I want, and it's not going to fall apart because of use. It's going to fall apart to solar exposure versus a natural turf field, depending on maintenance, depending how it's constructed, plays somewhere between 200 to 250 uses per year before it falls apart. What we
I
found,
think
go ahead.
I think those points are really important, especially now
Sure.
with a project that's on the docket. And I think it would be very helpful for your report and
Mhm.
presentations to the community to make sure that we cover those points. Like the fact that you just said one turf field covers 3 natural grass fields, like. We need to understand that, like the community needs to understand that, because in terms of playable hours, right? I think we just need to make sure that we, put that out there because it's very important. If we're just comparing 1 to 1.
And
So-
I may be late to this conversation as a newbie, so forgive me if I'm
Yeah, no.
asking something that has already been covered. I understand there's a cost issue to it, but if we're willing to go turf on this large field here, we understand the overuse possibilities here. Should we at least be thinking about turfing the entire thing? If there was money available to do that at some point, I just throw that out there because you're gonna have the same overuse challenges on new natural turf field. Soccer's gonna be using it over and over and over again, particularly in challenging weather. I'm not saying there's gonna be money for it. I'm just saying, should we at least understand the difference cost wise to do that as well?
To like turf the whole thing, or I think we probably gave them commentary last time because we knew it was a cost thing, a constant cost balance thing. So that's why we said like, could we do half grass and then half turf? But I think it is worth, Ryan, like putting out there, what's the cost?
Easy for me to give you the cost differential. I just would like the Parks Commission to remember that the community is going to want balance. And so like we are showing the high school being entirely synthetic turf. And so if the answer out of this report is the synthetic turf everything, I think the Parks Commission will get some kickback.
Also versus all of it, from the debate standpoint, not gonna change.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Like, so my thing is, if you're gonna go to the effort of putting it on that field, at least look at it.
yeah, I guess the big thing for me is if you're gonna turf like 90, it is like, does it still have the same flexibility as like that big turf field, because you can arrange it in different areas. If you do a bigger piece of turf there, Ryan, obviously you would have more. I don't think that one's probably worth it, right? Because it's a small tiny field, like I don't know what you're gonna be able to do on that.
Just for flexibility standpoint, you'd be able to pick your 3v3 or 5v5 down here as well. So
I guess
yes,
my-
it does provide you flexibility.
I guess from my own standpoint, like. I like the balance. It's like, it's nice to have some grass and then have some turf, right? Instead of turfing every green space in town, I think it's nice to say, hey, we have a balance.
And that's like a couple of sentences in the report, right, guys? Like certainly it's something, and the community can look at that later as like, oh, if we added X amount of square footage of synthetic turf, that adds, I'm just going to make it up, another 800,000 to the project. It may be at the time the community is making this decision that does make sense or doesn't make sense. So it's easy for us to put that in the report as a jumping off point for the community.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I just have a quick question. I know I'm jumping in late here and I
That's okay.
apologize. Is there any like bathroom facility as part of this? Is there any like locker room?
There is not, and the key here is probably balancing costs. A bathroom out here, like an actual functioning locker room and restroom building, would likely add millions in cost. When you get into that type of building, the price per square foot goes pretty high. Our recommendation would be to kind of continue what they have done out there by providing porta johns, and maybe we need to identify a spot out here that porta johns should be provided so that they're easy to maintain and easy to maybe shield from regular view, like they're behind a fenced enclosure or something like that.
Could we at least like look, like what would it cost to
Of
put
course we
in?
can.
To put in like I don't know if like necessarily locker rooms, I feel like.
I
worry
actually do
about-
think locker rooms because like then the whole reason for being able to use the turf is for rain, right? Like during the rain, inclement weather. So now you're scheduling a game, thunder and lightning come, and now you have a safe place to get the kids.
I just worry about like vandalism, like if you have a locker room, like what that brings, right? Or like the maintenance of someone like locking it and like. All that stuff, but
So what we've had some
Worth looking at. You just put it in.
we just put them in.
Right there.
So what we have some experience with in the past is we put the locks on a timer. So at dusk or whatever the the town schedules, the locks just shut and the doors close. Of course, there's a
Yeah.
crash bar from the inside, so if a kid is in when the lock goes off, they can get back out. But then the door shuts. What I will say is that they're electronic and they're not infallible, and so we had a community here in New York have them installed. They froze in the unlocked position, and the kids took the opportunity to rip all the stalls off the wall. So,
That's
you know,
what I learned.
the concerns are genuine. Um, but there could be a good. Why don't we give you a cost associated with it? There's some prefabricated buildings that have like restrooms and spaces.
An overhang or.
Yeah, over like a covering.
Cover, like,
that,
pavilion.
Like a
Right.
shelter in place
Right.
type situation.
Right, that gazebo kind of served up for parents. I think, at the youth level, I would argue that the majority of time, particularly with, if you're talking about smaller fields, you have parents there with them that are gonna go to their vehicles.
Yeah.
If there's inclement weather, so from a cost analysis standpoint, to put a locker room for youth sports, that the
Yeah.
parents are gonna be present. I don't know with all the other projects that are gonna be on the docket, that sort of has the return on investment,
Yeah,
that would make sense.
I'm wondering if it's like. Would it be possible to put in like restrooms that are enclosed, Ryan? Because I think that's always an amenity. And then I've seen it before where you've had like a covering, a pavilion with like maybe tables. So A could be used for people like also just passive recreation, right? People that like go to the park that it's hot, they could also go there, eat or whatever. But then the fields can use it too if it's inclement weather. They can always go underneath. So I think. Like, I don't know if the gazebo necessarily is, like, does this become the gazebo, right? Like, and
Yep.
is the hub when you arrive at this park?
Okay.
And the place that you have it would be like the perfect spot because it's right between the fields,
right.
right between the playground.
Agreed.
And like, would be like a great arrival point, right, of like this park. But I
So-
love what you did here, I mean, I think it's, I do think this has the most promise out of any field that we probably have in town.
Agreed. So quickly on the building, what we'll do to price this out, obviously we don't want to get architects involved and get a design to try and understand the cost. What we typically do for something like this is we use a company called Rontech who creates prefabricated buildings
Yeah.
that are actually CMU buildings that come out on site. When I say they're prefabricated, they're pre-designed and the raw materials are shipped out for a contractor to install. But it allows us to rough in the costs of these buildings. They have some really nice options and some photos that have been provided at parks all across the country that have restroom facilities already built in. The key for me to understand the costs out here is understanding the utility situation. Given that we've got the community center here, I assume we have water and wastewater to connect to.
I'm not water there now, Kevin.
We have a well.
Yeah,
We have a well. For
And is it
irrigation.
on-site wastewater or how is that working?
Is it what?
Is it on-site wastewater or is there wastewater to discharge? There's sewer down here.
There's gotta be sewer.
There's gotta be sewer.
The
Yeah.
village and that.
You got that whole building there.
Yeah. I would say it'd probably be on the Ponset versus Brush Hill Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any way to track that down?
The way I would track that down is I would call the DPW from my internship. I know the maps are sitting in a file cabinet there. And so somebody there would help me at the end from the engineering department, but
You should be,
It's-
you should be on the GIS also, you should. be
is
able
it in
to
the
pull
town's
up-
GIS?
Yeah, you should be
Is
able
that
to pull it
Allen
up on
still?
GIS.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
Still Allen.
Well, it's,
Okay.
I think so.
Any, I'm just wondering. Any spectator amenities here? Or are we pretty much like, people are bringing in, like, would we have benches and such? Is there like park benches or any thought around that?
Site furnishings I've carried, and we haven't gotten over there. I've carried a number for site furnishings, like site amenities is what I called it.
Okay.
Certainly, I would think you'd have some benches along the way. I would stay away from the more formalized like bleacher system.
Yeah,
I think that's not the aesthetic that you're looking for here.
Yeah,
But you guys tell me, that's just my personal opinion. And then I would keep it to the point where maybe we add a little bit more space between these fields where the, parents can come set down folding chairs, or that's the type of facility I envisioned here, not like
I,
full spectator seating.
I mean, I think I do like the mix of grass and turf here because we basically have to fence, we have to fence the turf, right? Like you have to do that, and if we were to fence this whole park, I really worry about access, so I like the fact that it balances out, right? And I like it's nice if there's a playground there, there's some passive use, there's at least some. Right, so I think this reminds me of Kincaid Field where you've got, it's pretty much a duplicate of that, I think I mentioned it once before in Quincy, where you've got one big turf field. But then you also have really nice greenery around with a nice walking path. And so I think it kind of does both, this one.
Do you think from soccer's standpoint that this helps them?
I don't know, that's why I had asked, right, like, I'd have to ask my wife if like, I know that there was, they also had planning, right? And I worry about like, is it enough fields, but to like Ryan's point, right, like you can divide that big one up. So I think my thought was that there was always like, you basically get 4 fields out of this, right? Or the big, or the large one, so I think it does. At the end of the day, I think it does because it's not just.
Based on my conversation with Jamie, I would say yes, this does help soccer. Is it
Yeah.
everything soccer wanted? Probably not, but it's certainly a big step in the right way.
Right.
I guess my only other question would be where that small field is, kind of how we're looking at it, all the way to the left. It's like how much of a need is there for that size field? Like, could that be a pickleball court?
Or something.
Like, so there's another group
Right.
that's kind of like supporting this project.
Yeah,
Uh,
or
that would
something
be my-
else, because
That would be my only other question is there a way to kind of,
and that would probably be a good area for it potentially, because it's like, no one's really.
there's not a lot of houses over there.
Right. I don't know, right? So Ryan, like the 3 versus 3 or the 5v5 seems like it could go almost anywhere, right? In town, like you could put
Right.
it somewhere else. So is it possible? Or or is you just add pickleball to it? The hard part is like.
That's what I'd like to try. And the reason I'd like to try that is one of the things that both the soccer group and all of the athletic groups have expressed to me is that they're trying to hold events with limited number of coaches and a really big contingency of players. And so whenever they can focus everybody to one spot, it's easier for the coaches to serve multiple uses. And so if I take that 5v5 field and I shift it across town, I'm hurting that ability for them to congregate in one area. And so I think to them that's a really big selling point, is that they have everybody in the same spot. Now that being said, there is space that's not being fully utilized here. And so if I could, Caroline, to your point, I think it is important to get as many user groups in on a project as possible. So if we could fit pickleball either in this space or in this space, and I'm not sure which one fits better at the moment, we'll play with that. But if we could add pickleball to it, that's another contingency that you're getting more bang for the buck.
You're not gonna get foot traffic there.
Yeah.
You have to, most will have to drive there.
Yeah,
Um,
like I look at Kelly Field, the high school, and it's like baseball games going on, softball games going on.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Kids are playing basketball that are like there with their siblings.
Yeah, I think that physical location helps, right? Like, in terms of, there's a lot of foot traffic that happens there, that's not just mom and dad bringing you to that site.
I mean, that's what was nice, like Kincaid has, like, they're not like full court
Right,
basketball or anything, it's like it's like a half court,
I'm just trying to find a way to get
more.
more people that,
I think your pickleball
Yeah.
idea is a good idea, I think I was just more responding to the idea of moving the 3v3 versus 5v5. If it's important enough to soccer to have it, I think we would be foolish to try to take square footage from another open space
yeah,
to accommodate a small field. If it's that important to have it, and you have a space here,
yeah,
I would like to see it stay here as opposed to trying to take away from other space elsewhere in town.
yeah,
The GIS does not show it at, so we just probably have to contact DPW with the water. I just pulled it up and it doesn't
Okay.
show it, so.
okay.
And then.
That's no problem. We can
So
handle
the
that.
Parking, the new parking lot basically is an in and out, right? Like you're coming in and then you go out on the pond.
Correct. Yes. And we've added that little leg over here for so not everyone's filing out one road.
Okay. Oh, I see. So then you can still go on the other, you can still go down that road to Brush Hill if you want.
Okay, yeah, cause that was the only thing I was thinking, the pickleball courts. If that all were to happen and the pickleball courts are on like the furthest side of the parking.
Yeah.
Could you somehow create a smaller lot? Kind of in that like triangle grass space and maybe take away some parking on the other
Yeah.
side.
Well, I mean, the other thing here is like the playground, do we? I guess I wonder, like, do we need that big of a playground here, or is it, I mean,
Right.
it's serving that like a purpose, but. I think it's good to have.
Yeah, I think it's great, I think
think
the
it's
playground
great.
is great,
Yeah,
I would leave the playground the size it is, and when we do start to raise money or get an opportunity for the project, certainly we can right size it based on budget. But if you budget for the playground you want, which I think this is kind of covers just about everything you'd want.
yeah, it's not really huge anyways, or
Say that again, Rob.
like how, like, what's the cost of this playground?
I think I have this one listed at $600,000. And
Okay,
this is a playground we just bid out and are under
it's
construction and hope to.
basically, yeah, Pepperly, basically.
Yeah.
Pepperly's about that. Okay. And then
Let's
the
talk about
walking
money.
path and everything is new too, so, cause there's like, a stone dust path or something there now. What would you imagine this path would be?
I think it's asphalt.
Is it asphalt?
Yeah, I told them.
Oh, the one that
I would
goes all the way
prefer
around.
asphalt.
Yeah,
It's asphalt.
asphalt, yeah.
Okay,
Stone dust doesn't hold up over time, and you end up with like ruts and soft spots in it. And we have some success on something this flat, but honestly,
Yeah.
it becomes a maintenance problem for your crew, and then they've got to go
Yeah.
out there and check it. And okay,
Like,
so you've given us a lot of good feedback here. Obviously, we're going to have to update these costs to go over it.
How does this layout look?
it helps here.
Much less grass,
Yeah.
much less water that we'll be using up there, cause
Yeah.
there's no water on the turf,
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, it helps us maintenance costs big
Yeah.
time.
okay,
So the parking lot's 850K. Wow, seems like a lot.
Hold on one second. I want to go back to the watering thing. There is irrigation at this site, right?
Yes, there is.
Okay. I want to add a note here to myself because I left that out of the estimate. So parking lot, we have estimated about $850,000. The playground's around $600,000. The synthetic turf field, just the field itself, is about $1 million. In synthetic turf carpet. The athletic lights for the synthetic turf field, we have at about
Ryan, I don't mean to interrupt, when you
Sure.
say the turf field, just the carpet, so that's no site work or anything?
No, my apologies. Sorry, that wasn't worded very well. I just meant no other amenities associated with the fields, like the lights aren't included in. So it's the carpet, the curb, the stone, the under drainage. Is at about $1 million. The athletic lights, there's about $500,000. The natural turf field we have listed at about $300,000 to $250,000. I think those are a little overpriced, but I'm covering some drainage in there. Infrastructure
I mean, to be
allow.
honest, that's kind of
Go
what that's kind of about the right price that we're going out, we're trying to get a natural at Andrews is around 300,000, so I think your pricing is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
They're smaller than that field, but yeah, I don't think I'm far off, but I think I'm a little high at just about on everything. I just prefer at this. stage of the game to be a
The
little
second
high.
one might be high. But,
This shows the
Um,
area that we own up there. Like, when you look at this map, like, does this go over where we actually own? Like, there's the parking lot, like, when I look at the map,
actually, it almost looks like the parking lot is in where we own. I think we'd have to look,
Right.
because there's that little slice there that you showed.
I'm just worried,
That
because
would
I mean, there you have the facility here, and
Right.
I know there's parking here too, so I'm just not sure if we're overlapping.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay,
We'd have to look. So Ryan, the one thing I think you're gonna wanna look, Bonnie just brought up the GIS map of like
Okay.
the parcel. I think this parking is on the parcel that we own. So it looks like there's like a little bit of green space there that's, it's not up to the road, if you will. So there's like a little bit of, a little slice between where
There's a
the
little
parking
corner,
is.
yeah.
So just check that.
Are you guys seeing my screen right now, or are you looking at something that Bonnie's pointed at?
I was looking at.
Yeah, I pulled it up on the GIS because I was looking for the water, but I was just noticing that there is a slice that I think we might.
It's right
overlap.
there. Right there, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're looking to put something there? Is that what you're thinking?
No, I just want to make sure that we're staying within our boundaries, that
Yeah.
we can do
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have an infrastructure allowance here of $400,000. That's basically, how do I get all this drainage off the site? What do I need for electrical upgrades? What do I need for under drainage for the playground? What do I need for, at the time I was thinking gazebo, but now I'm going to need it for water and wastewater we're not going to call it locker room building. We're going to call it restroom building.
So how much money did we just add to the project, Brian, by putting the pavilion in?
So if I'm taking the gazebo out and putting the restroom building in, we've probably added, I'm gonna guess $1 million to the budget.
Okay,
If we can go with a Romtech with just a pavilion, no locker room. If we get rid of the locker room component to it, which it sounds like we're in agreement on, we've probably added close to $1 million in budget. So you're somewhere in that $4.5 to $5 million budget is probably
Okay.
a good spot to rebuild this facility.
okay,
And so, this is the first time we're kind of talking about money. So I'm trying to get the Parks Commission kind of general feedback. Is like a $5 million project in one shot really feasible for the town and the community? Or do we need to look at phasing this? And I down below kind of thought about what that phasing structure could look like. Do we want to show like we do parking in synthetic turf field, lighting and basic infrastructure up front, and then we come back, we rebuild we build the playgrounds.
I think my own take on this is a piece of this is also about funding, right, Ryan? So like what potential revenue streams could be used, right? If we were to say, I mean, there's any different possible way that we're gonna have to raise this. If you were to ask, oh, does the park have a $5 million budget to do this? No, right? And so I think at the end of the day, it's like what you bite off, right? And so if you were to do this whole project, right, like there's probably different ways you could do it. We could use CPC money potentially for different pieces of it. You obviously couldn't use it for the turf piece of it, but you could do it for a lot of the other pieces of it. And then we would have to go out, like, I don't think it's probably not plausible to. It's almost better to go out for like one thing than to go out twice if you were gonna go and like. Ask for, if say you were to go ask for money, right, from the taxpayers, I don't like the idea of phasing it along.
Agreed.
But I do think we do need to be, it's helpful for us to like see what a cost would be for a total piece like this, and then how do we break that up, so it's more plausible for people to get on board with it. I think there's gonna have to be public-private funding for this. And then we have to use every stream that we can find, right, to kind of help make up the deltas for it.
Okay. Anything else I wanted to cover here? This was good feedback on this.
I guess the one question I would have, right, is like the holistic picture, right? Of even if we like turf this, let's say the lower Guile Field project comes in. Where I think we also need to make sure we start with that basis of like, I think you said it last time, was like, we're in a deficit of 3 to 4 multi-sport
Yep.
fields. And then like 2 diamonds. So where are we, if we were to do a project like this? Are we close, have we helped that case or what, you know?
Yeah, at that point you're there, right? Because you've inevitably using the math I gave you before, you're replacing a natural turf field with a multi-purpose rectangular lighted field that's synthetic turf. You're +2. So if you're +2 and +2, now you're +4, right? And so the answer then is
Huge.
can you schedule it appropriately to serve everybody and make up all those needs?
Yeah, so I think. This is all good news to me personally, because at the end of the day, I think this is what we need to make a case, right? So at the end of the day, we say, we have this deficit, right? We still haven't, I would like to see like like, where are we potentially putting diamonds, and maybe that's at the high school, right? If we go,
Yep.
if we go that route. But like in your final report is like, if we were to bite off a project like this, that's whatever it is, right? It does solve our programming right now, and we need that to basically capture that, right? At the end of the day, then I think we can build support around a project like this that says, listen, this is the investment, but it also solves our programming.
The way the draft report is reading is heading is that it is infeasible to make up the a number of field deficit without using synthetic turf or buying property. And
Or
so
like,
so you have to buy property or use synthetic turf to make up the deficit. And so here's the options, given that there's not a parcel of land that the town has, available to it that's really a feasible place to build athletic fields. Here's how we're approaching making up that deficit using synthetic turf. And if the town found another facility that they, was feasible to build natural turf fields, then we could look at that one for how to make up the field space. That's where we're headed. And then we'll show, the phasing. If you say you built, Lower Guile is obviously ahead of Flatley Field here. So if Lower Guile comes down, now you're +2 fields and your deficit is 2.
yeah,
And now you need to add more. And so, phase 2 of the overall, how do you make up the deficit, would be looking at Flatley Field as like, how do we make this improvement? And then we'll go from there.
okay,
And is that, this covers the deficit issue, if Lower Isle becomes a turf?
Right. Lower Guile
If
has to
Lower
become
Isle
turf.
does not become a turf,
we
Shield down to.
then,
Still down 2.
yeah,
down to.
okay.
That means we need to find land or whatever, right? Basically, we need to purchase land in order to make up that deficit.
Or you,
Which, by the
I
way,
mean-
land in Milton is $1 million an acre.
or you turf Andrews, right? Which doesn't sound like something that you want, but
But
Find
by
another
the
field
way,
to turf.
Ryan, we have made a decision, like last meeting, we are putting in for CPC money to redo the natural grass field at Andrews. We did make a decision to go ahead on that.
Cool.
I don't think turfing Andrews is a great option.
I figured that to be the case.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the one last question, and maybe you're gonna get to it, is like, one other
Oops.
I like this project a lot. Okay, yeah, okay. So I'll be quiet and let you keep going.
Sorry. Next one up is the high school.
Oh,
So the last time we talked about this, we discussed, and sorry, let me delete my notes. We talked about, what are our options at the high school? How could we update this? And so the Parks Commission's next conversation was, what if we just synthetic turfed all of Middle Guile to provide as much availability out there as possible, give it as much flexibility. We also updated the high school project to more aptly incorporate the synthetic turf field down at Lower Guile. We've added some notes here about what the field size is going to be, how the access to that facility is being provided, and what they're doing for spectator seating. We've pulled that from the plans available from the website. And what that will help us do is tell the story in that report, like we were talking about how this is a +2 field and what this would do is say if it came after Flatley. Um, this facility is a really big synthetic turf field. For reference, a typical multi-purpose rectangular field that you would see inside a track facility is anywhere from 80 to 90,000 square feet. This facility is 185,000 square feet. It's really big. You can play a lot of different things here. We're just showing like a little bit of striping to help you understand what sizes are here, but um, it's a full 320-foot baseball field and a full soccer field there. The one thing that's nice about doing this in synthetic turf is that we can sleeve the temporary fences so that they're much more sturdy and easier to lay out than say the sandbag and platform option that you guys are currently using for temporary fencing out there. Um, I do think this would require some drainage upgrades. I think there's some concerns I would have about having the hillside that close to the synthetic turf field. And there's also some issues where you guys are currently spending money out there for the softball field and have spent some money on some athletic lighting, and that money would be, I don't want to say lost, but portions of that money spent wouldn't be able to be reincorporated. So like we could use the dugouts over again at the softball field, but like the pads would have to be ripped out and replaced. And so some of that money would be lost. The
I
thing
guess
here
what's
that
hard for
go
I
ahead.
guess what's hard for me to understand is how this the investment for to do this would be like, what's the payoff, right? It is like, because if you're like the softball field's gonna be there for a lot of the seasons and the baseball field, so. I guess like it seems like a big investment for what we can do.
Meaning like, this is already how it's.
It's already how it's kind of serving its purpose, right?
It's not gaining anything other than turfing it, which would then.
Extend, I understand
More.
you could extend more play. I get that part, I get that, but. I don't know, like, what's the benefits, Brian, of this? So you could basically do more, right?
You can do more, it has more flexibility. Your field. So right now, one of the awkward things about having a natural turf field and trying to have a rectangular use in the outfield is that the field has to be graded for a natural turf field in order to pitch away. Um, to pitch and drain appropriately is the way I should word that. And so when you grade a natural turf field, it for baseball, that grading doesn't line up with what you'd want for a competitive multi-purpose rectangular field. And so when you go move to synthetic turf, everything drains vertically. And so you'd be able to level the field and make it completely flat, which means it could play both competitive multi-purpose rectangular field uses and baseball uses without anyone kind of playing at a detriment. Additionally, you don't really have this is your premier softball field in the community, and your premier baseball field, based on what the baseball groups have told me, sorry about that, is at Cunningham. And so the town doesn't really possess like a premier baseball field, 90-foot baseball diamond. And so what we've heard is that they need this field here. They would like it to remain. And this would give them a premier location that the town owns. It's also at the high school. So they're now playing games at their high school instead of having to travel to some other field offsite. So that was the benefits provided here. I would agree it's probably not priority number one to solve the community problem from the town perspective. But I do think there's benefits to the community from that perspective. And it's a little bit of equity too, where all the rectangular sports are going to have synthetic turf fields, and then your baseball teams and softball teams are going to be playing on natural turf field. There could be a discussion of whether that's everybody's getting equal facilities.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel, I'd rather have like baseball, softball play on grass if possible. I just don't know if the programming necessarily is gonna, right?
You don't beat up a baseball and softball field like you do.
You factor in the cost, I mean.
I would much rather play on grass, right, if you can. right? Like, I just feel like
I think we need to be realistic,
I think we need to be realistic,
you know,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just.
So would you pull this project altogether?
I mean, I think it should be in your report, right? Like, I think it's like, hey, we looked at it. I mean, here,
It actually needs to be in the report,
It
because
needs to be in the
as park commissioners, you're gonna get asked, we're all gonna get asked, why don't we do this?
Right.
Okay, and so
Exactly.
having data and information to suggest that everything has been explored, and that it's a cost prohibitive.
Correct.
Is an important piece of the puzzle.
Right.
If we had all the money in the world, I'm not suggesting we don't explore everything, but we know that's not a factual thing, so let's, you know, there's a balance of understanding what is possible, and then we have to make decisions about reality, right? And I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I mean, I think it's also good as like, listen, if there's a whatever happens with Lower Guy, like, we're hopeful that this project's gonna move forward, right, Ryan? But it's also.
I thought that case was gonna be done. Did it not finish?
Yeah, well, we're gonna table that for now. But let's just say, right, like, this is the other option, like, okay, if you don't wanna turf Lower Guile, is this option on the table? It's also done, it's $4 million, right? I mean, there might be a piece of this that's like, okay, it's half the size or something, and that's turf, is that more amenable, you know, I don't know. But I think it's just good to have the study in here because we looked at it, right? Like, at the end of the day, we have it, we looked at it. Personally, I mean, that's where I think the balance really needs to come in, like, we have natural grass, and to your point, Ryan, I think. It's the point of like, we have this deficit, and the way that we can solve the programming issue is we have two turf fields. And in my
Yeah.
mind, it's the Lower Guile field, which is like almost, we're in the 9th inning here, right? We're hopeful that we get that project, and we have the backup on that one. And it's the project you just showed, like, okay, if we have that, that does a whole lot for the town, right? And it solves a lot of our programming. I think that's. I mean, I'm happy. Seeing the results of what you put up. But I think it's good to have this option out there, you know. But we'd have almost, like, let's say if we did this, every single piece of high school property would be synthetic turf, which I don't personally love. You know, I don't know what others feel, but
I do.
You'd have this Lower Guile field. There's still natural turf there.
there's one little piece of it. Kevin says he likes it because he doesn't have to maintain it.
Don't get yelled at.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah.
Okay, I have one more I want to talk about with you guys because I think there's a decision to be made at Andrews. So you guys are going out to CPC to talk about to fund the natural turf field here.
Yeah,
Do you want us to say something about that in the report, or do you want us to just not say anything about it? That way, if it happens with CPC, it's great. If not,
I mean, it would be great if you could say like, you know, it gives us, we've done this report and we believe that's the spot for it to happen, I think would be
Okay.
useful.
support CPC.
I mean, that was the reason why we held last year. We saw what you had done to the park,
Yeah.
and that was the reason why we recommended this year.
Okay. We have the revised softball field location that we had kept. The board, the Parks Commission last time was kind of on the fence about this, whether it stays or not. And so I think the conversation delved into parking and didn't come back to this. And I don't know that I have a good note about whether this softball field should stay or go.
Were we saying that it wasn't a big deal the way it's laid out?
right,
You guys were kind of like on the fence about it. So I think some were in favor of reorienting it and making it a standalone field, and then others were like, I don't know if that's a good use of our
I mean, to
funding.
be honest, I think there might be other little bits that we would want in this. I think the field, the way it is today, Ryan, is probably better because what I will say is we've gotten a lot of great feedback on Kelly Field. And I think the dugouts and everything there are awesome. So like that is kind of a foundation for us to say, hey, we could do that potentially for other projects, right? And this could be one of them. And I would want those dugouts to be not in this configuration, like kind of in the middle. I would want them to be on the outskirts of the park. Right, and I think we could, but while we're doing that, we can upgrade the, you know, the baseball fields there as well. And couple them like we did with Kelly.
So we're just talking about maybe like minor upgrades.
Yeah, minor upgrades, like I think the dugouts.
Can you just remind me, like, what was the rationale? What do we gain by moving the softball field?
The
in
current
that
softball
direction?
field doesn't have a full playing outfield length. And so it conflicts with this fence for the baseball field. And so by rotating, one, you gain a little bit better orientation, not significantly better orientation, but a little bit better orientation. You get a full outfield out of it, and you get kind of a new rebuilt field. There was some, basically, I think there's some weird grading that's happening on the, I'd have to go back to the report, but one of these foul lines, there's like a drop off right at the foul line. And so we were going to have to like regrade that section anyway. And so, anyway,
Could we
Go ahead.
flip that? Could we like reconfigure that, right? So. It was a little bit better, but in the same orientation as it is in now, just to look at it. Because I think that field definitely can use upgrades, but. I don't know if this necessarily would be it, would be like flipping it, I think is. And I think the softball board, from what I remember, is. And when Ted was here, he said the same thing, was like, it's not a major, it's not like you're having kids smash the ball on this field.
This is
The younger kids,
It's younger
the younger
kids.
kids play at this
Yeah,
field,
right.
all the older kids go to
Geo.
high school, Geo
Yeah.
and Kelly.
Yeah,
So this is
Yeah.
for the little kids.
That's what I'm saying, could you move it up a little bit, right? Like, we could almost like redo it a little bit. And push it out, but I think all the amenities there. They could totally be upgraded, I think there's just a backstop and that's it. There's like nothing
So-
there, pretty much.
we'll change this then. We'll just show kind of minor improvements to these fields, the softball and the baseball field. We'll leave the t-ball field kind of as is because I think that serves its purpose as it
The
is. Kind of tucked
baseball,
away.
you got some upgrades or not? This.
Yeah, the baseball field is, you know, with the exception of, as an example, the dugouts that you just referenced, that baseball field is recently redone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not wrong in saying though that you were going to do dugouts down there, right? Or is that? I thought there was
Yeah,
a
I mean, I
dugout
think-
project happening there.
I would put it in, right, as
Yeah.
like a potential future project. I think it would be. It's a great use of CPC money, and people then realize like, we've done it on a number of baseball diamonds, and it really does help. I mean, they're really nice, the Kelly. Dugouts.
So my other conversation to be had here was about parking. I left this kind of like not
Oh, yeah.
totally done with a layout. Obviously, the big comment we've gotten about Andrews is that there's not enough parking spaces on site. What's currently shown in dark is about 130 total parking spaces, but I think it's, in my opinion, too tight for the park and too tight to the residences. And I would like to see it kind of be pared down. Going back to that number that we talked about before of having 20 to 30 per facility. If you say you have 1, 2, 3, I'd count hard parks as 4, and then this is 5. You'd want somewhere in that 100 to 120 parking spaces. No, you'd want 100, sorry, 5 times 20. So you want 100 to 150 parking spaces. And so what's totally shown here is 130. The difference between this park and the park Flatley field is that the amount of people that can walk to Flatley versus can walk to Andrews is significantly different, given that it's surrounded by a community. And so to me, I see a core number of spaces here. When I say
I worry
core,
about how close that parking lot is to all those residents. That's my worry about it.
Yep.
And I know you looked at it, did you look at parking, north of the soccer field? We could,
we did, and then we decided we didn't like it up there because it was being used for something. It was being used for, yep.
is there a solution here with less parking that's not so offensive to, yeah, something like that?
Yeah, eliminate.
This is what I wanted to
Eliminate
pitch,
that
and that's
one.
85 spaces, guys. So like that's almost all of the spaces you need. And it
Yeah.
just cuts back on being this close to these abutters, gives them some
Yeah,
screening
I wouldn't
buffer.
do that.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think Kevin knows this, the reality is for those of us who are down there a lot. If you add parking, what the sell is ultimately to the neighbors is they're either parking on the front lawn.
Yeah,
Or over there, because the reality is they're all over the streets.
Oh, yeah,
You know, so,
It's a nightmare.
yeah,
but I think there's probably there's a balance here, like,
I like
I
that.
like that one, that you
I like
got,
that law.
yeah. So
I agree. I just-
Build them and redo this to that.
We currently still have money for Andrew's parking, right?
I do, I don't know if I could, I don't know if I
Right,
had
I don't
enough.
think that would cover it, but,
You threatened to use it too.
right,
All right,
Well, and I think there's the paper road, right, that's in between
So that, yeah,
the two houses.
correct.
So
We're
there's
not
one
showing that as a
there.
road. We're showing that as like pedestrian access.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's,
Pedestrian
Okay.
access here. We're not, I
Okay.
think using that, I don't know. You guys tell me, you know the community better than I do, of course. But I just
I think
think
it's better to
showing,
keep them, I think it's
Yeah.
better to keep them pedestrian access, like through there.
Yeah.
I think
Cause
that,
that's what you, Kevin, is that what you guys have looked at,
Yeah.
was making that an
Yeah.
entrance in and the neighbors didn't want
you
that?
know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like it.
this is
just
too
the way
narrow,
that-
but this one would work.
Yeah. Just leave it like that, Ryan, that's perfect, I
Okay.
think.
We'll probably pull this away from the tennis court a little bit, but we'll try and balance between providing enough screening.
I mean, to be
Overall,
honest,
go ahead.
all we really need is like you know, I can't imagine we would need just a little bit of buffer between the tennis court.
yeah,
You don't need too much.
We had this total project at 2.5 to 2.7 million. You are already funding this one for 300,000.
Yeah, so what's the other, so the parking is what?
About $1 million to do the parking.
Easy into your numbers.
Of course I can. Sorry, guys.
No, no worries, that's better. So the fitness court too. I think that I remember the fitness court people came here, and I don't know if that was potential like funding they were trying to look for, right? If this is a good spot for it, great, but I think. I don't remember, what they had thought, the cost was, but. That seems high, but it could be what it is these days, I guess it would be.
It all depends on the level of equipment, guys, right? Like if for what's being shown there, I'm carrying 250,000. If it ends up being like a couple of pieces of equipment and some mulch, obviously it's under that $100,000 mark. It's really because we haven't like talked each design point out with the community yet. We're just leaving enough allowance there.
Well, one thing I'm thinking about, could we, like, again, I'm referencing Kincaid Park, cause I think it's a great park. They have fitness equipment that is scattered throughout on a walking path. And I use that park, my daughter plays soccer there, I'll go walk that trail, right? And then my other daughter will play on the fitness equipment and whatever, right? And I think people utilize that, is that another possible way?
100%. Each community likes it different.
Okay.
So like whether you want them scattered throughout or, in one centralized location, totally up to the community on what they want there. Some people, what I've gathered, I've not actually used one of those courses before.
Yeah.
The thought of working out in public makes me petrified, but having those fitness apparatuses around, some people like it because they're getting their walk in between. Some people wide out in the open and they feel like they don't want to use the equipment like that. They'd rather be tucked away off to the side. So,
Well, I'm wondering if, like, if we go all in on Flatley, right? You take the fitness court out here, right? Because it's mere residents and stuff. Do you put that like the fitness pieces around your walking path, which you're already putting on? But like you have a senior facility there, right? That potentially is a user. And also it's another amenity to a park that like we can,
right.
Mhm.
one more.
And by spreading it out, I think you save money also on putting in the surfacing, because mulch is probably not gonna be accessible, so it
Right.
needs to be accessible. So if you're putting it around the path, you're gonna save money and not having, a lot of the money is in the surfacing, so.
Right. So that's what I'm wondering, like, do we put that here as just an option, Ryan? I think it's still good to put it there, like in East Milton, you have a conversation, I don't know.
I kind of like.
We'll
the
show
idea
it. We'll show optional in both spots, and then
Yeah.
as the
Yeah,
community
And
can.
then
it'll-
let the community come
That's
back to us and say,
absolutely.
Okay.
And maybe that's an option here too, like in Andrews, do we do?
Yep.
Instead of having one court, do we spread it out, right? Like that could be two options here to do that as well.
Okay. And have anything about the numbers scared the town or scared the Parks Commission, or I'm just trying to figure out that I don't want to give a report that shows whatever
Numbers
we
don't
have.
scare me, I think it's
Oh.
about what it is, like basically if we were to do all this and bite it off, it's $10 million or something, right?
That's what I'm worried
But
about. Is the community going to
Yeah.
gasp and say this is crazy?
No, I think the bigger thing here is also to find revenue streams, right? I think it's to put this out there. I think I like what I hear today because we did the study, it shows a deficit, we have solutions that you've come up with, right? And I think that's really the important piece of this. And then the money, we figure out, like, that's the next piece is like, okay, what potential revenue streams? We already have the CPC. That's a potential revenue stream. What other state grants and stuff can we find? What other, private money can we raise? And then what can residents get behind, right? So.
Yep.
Listen, I don't think we're gonna, we're not gonna pull the trigger here tomorrow on, initiating all this stuff. But, it's a very.
You don't have a $10 million bond drafted up already, Rob?
Well, and what I will tell you is the problem right now is there's a lot going on in town. So there's gonna be a new fire station, right, that we know is coming up for a bond. And like every town where our budget's always stretched, so. And it's just trying to play that out and figure out where, how you navigate it, but. 4.5 million in a bond doesn't seem like a huge number to me, but. It is what it is.
So I'm gonna lose my conference room here in 10 minutes to somebody else. But the other piece I wanted to touch on is the report. We have a draft report already underway, or I would say almost complete. We're holding off on one of the final portions of the discussion until we could have this conversation with you guys today about costs and potential phasing strategies. What I'd like to do is I'd like to update these figures. I'd like to update the costs. I would like to incorporate all that and provide a rough draft to the Parks Commission by the middle of June for you guys to review and give us comment. And the comment is obviously content. Did we cover all the things you think you want us to cover? Category wise, and then as far as content wise, are we presenting the picture that the board is looking for, or how do we want to tweak it? And then we should set up a discussion for after you guys have had a chance to review it.
What's the timing, I guess, to come to a conclusion, like to wrap this up, Ryan? What do you think the timing is to get to a presentation, right? I think we need to identify some meetings right here. I think we would want to do a community meeting. We probably want to review it. We would want to review with the sports teams. So that's probably two. And then I'm even thinking like, do we go to the select board or something to show like an update? To show an update with this study, instead of going to town meeting, maybe we go to the select board or whatever, right? And maybe we still have to go to the one in October to the town meeting. But I think
when is your June? Instead of getting too far out, Rob, because I feel like that's going to be tough for us to hold. When is the next Parks Commission meeting?
June 18th.
So if we got you a rough draft, and I should have a calendar up. Bear with me a second here, guys. If we got you a draft of this by the week of let's say we got you something by the 9th, 10th, somewhere in there, got you something, and you guys were able to review it before the 18th, then we could comment on it and determine how much you want us to add or subtract or commentary, and then we could decide when we want to make those meetings. I think that would be a better approach rather than try to schedule those meetings and then find out that, there's something there that you want us to fill in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I think, I would give yourself to the 12th or whatever, right? I would say.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, I think that's okay, like, if you could get us a draft by the 12th, and then by the 18th. We would obviously put you on the agenda again, we would have like one more review of it, and then we could schedule the community meeting and. And maybe not to, I don't want too many meetings, like, could we invite the sports people and the community to that meeting, right?
Yep.
And have one meeting, one public meeting with them, and then I think, instead of going to town meeting, Ryan, I like the idea of the parks. Maybe we have a joint meeting with the select board or something, and say, hey, we wanna review this with you.
Yeah,
That makes sense to me. We will,
So I think we'd shoot for July, right? Like, at that point, I think we'd shoot for July to like go to the community. We'd obviously have some time in there, some feedback from the community, and then go to the select board.
that makes sense.
I think the biggest missing piece now probably is just trying, I like the numbers and everything, but I think we also need to. Identify potential other revenue streams, right, for this, will be important. But one thing well, you had asked me is like, is this palatable? There's many other ways, like the CPC, we just bonded our first project for a wharf project, that was $1 million, Ryan. That was about 7% of a CPC annual budget, so that kind of gives you a idea, right? The mechanisms are there. But there's state grant funding, there's CPC money, obviously, the big piece of this is the turf fields that are $1 million, so the only way you're getting that is. Through private money or whatever, or we're going.
Listen, I heard a lot of your athletic groups say we're sitting on piles of money. We just want to figure out how to improve the park. So
Yeah, exactly.
that revenue stream may be sitting right underneath our noses, and we just need to figure out how to capitalize on it.
And Ryan, obviously you're moving into the next two phases, could you sign off on that amendment so I can extend that PO unless you already sent it to me?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I forwarded it to
I
Brandon.
just wanna be able to pay you eventually.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah. Speaking of.
Thanks for the reminder,
Steve.
Bonnie.
All right,
Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you,
We'll talk soon. Bye.
bye. And I think just under new business, I think Kev wanted to mention something.
So yesterday, we had gone out to bid for Pebbley and the bid results came in and. It was Childscapes came in as the low bid
okay,
and they've done all our other playgrounds in town. I've
Okay.
worked with them, so.
is it funding, are we covered?
Yep,
All right.
so we're good. That should start. In August, I wanna say.
Wow.
Construction.
That's
That's
awesome,
incredible.
Yeah,
that's
that's
really
gonna
good.
happen. And you asked me to have town council come in the 18th, that's gonna happen. I probably come in on Zoom, the
Okay.
new town council.
Yeah.
So
I just know them as,
specifically talk about,
Flat.
so if we could get that rendition
yeah,
of what,
Right.
of what Ryan had right there.
so
we
we can, by the 12th, do you think that would be okay?
Yeah,
We can get that to the review.
yeah, so they can look at it and,
Then we have a better idea what's.
and
feasible.
then we need to have questions about what we can and can't do with flatly.
Yeah.
All that, so I think June 18th will be
Yeah,
a little bit of a lengthy meeting, to be honest with you.
okay.
I'll just add those to the agenda.
No problem.
That's obviously a huge component of all of it is.
Yeah.
right.
That's all I have for the business.
Yeah.
No?
Right,
Great.
I'll take that. Second,
All those in favor?
What's that?
All right, there you go, now, are we on?
Almost. Things so touchy.